one of the big reasons why I think we've been better this year at home is because of the energy that we've had in the building, and I think our team this year does feed off that. We've got a great crowd here, and they've been behind this team from day one. So whenever games are on the line or they're tight, we get a boost because they're still in games and they're still pushing.
I'm not going to suggest that it motivates anyone anymore because you guys don't need that. But like the city has a reputation for like come springtime, it's one of the best rinks in the entire league. Do you feel like that? The guys know that, and it drives them at times to get to experience that.
I think guys know it because they've seen it at different times this year where the building's been crazy, and they've all heard the stories of the Red Mile, and I know there hasn't been a lot of it over the last number of years, but they know what it was like for the teams that were able to go some distance in the playoffs and what the crowds are like here and the energy and atmosphere around the city. So they know it. They understand it, and they have seen some great nights in here this year.
You've mentioned that Nazem's attitude and gamer mentality rubs off on guys. What do you see when his impact on teammates?
I think it was, maybe if I'm not mistaken, it might have been Blake that called it the it factor last night that Naz has. And what I would hope rubs off onto especially the younger players is that, hey, the bigger the stage, it's not something to be afraid of. You kind of run to it. That's what Naz does all the time. So if some of that mentality or attitude or whatever you want to call it rubs off to the people that are beside him, it makes you better, not just in the short term, but in the long term. So, just the competitiveness and the belief in himself and the team, I think it drives his teammates as well.
Do you think he's taking it personally to put this team on his back? Do you think he's taking umbrage to what maybe was said before, and he's taking it personally?
Yeah, what was said before?
Just like coming in lower expectations this season. Do you think he's taking that personally?
Totally, and it's not just Naz. I think there's a lot of guys in our room that they did have a little bit of swagger, whatever your chip on their shoulder, whatever you want to call it, right from the beginning of the year. And I've said before, I think it's a lot of our older guys that have driven our team this year, and without having belief from guys like Naz and the other older leaders on our team, it doesn't happen. So I do think he's taken it upon himself, as has other guys.
Follow up on that just a little bit. I think there was maybe a perception of him, and this is no knock on him, that he was like a really elite number 2 center, and a complimentary, a guy who ultimately centered your second line, and now he's very much proving that he can be an elite first line center as well. Is that something that you feel he's proven this season, I guess?
Sure. I mean, he's getting all the hard matchups, whether he's with Hubie or not. He's seeing top pairs on the back end. He's seeing checking lines when we're on the road, and he continues to fight through it. You look at his last 2 years here, he's been a really good player for our team, really good. And most nights when we needed someone to step up, again, whether it's a fight, a hit, or scoring a big goal or making a big play, he's often right in the middle of it. He's been a really good player, and I would think that your comment about maybe not a first line center probably drives him. I would think. I haven't ever asked him that, but I think it drives him because he knows he's a really good player.
Ryan, one of the most sort of often heard phrases in this game is your best players have to be your best players. It sounds like such a silly question, but can you just explain the significance of having your top guys lead in the way they are right now?
Yeah, especially this time of year. I would say your top guys set the standard for what people below them do. They'll follow. And if you have a group of top players that are in and out, or they work when it's convenient for them, that's what your team's going to look like. If you have top players that are your hardest working guys and most competitive guys and most driven guys, your team's going to take on those characteristics. So it's such an important thing, and especially at this time of the year when every game is so important for us, that our leaders or our top players have that mindset, and they understand there's responsibility that comes with that role or position that they've earned.
You could tell last night from the celebration what that victory meant to the coaching staff too. I'm just curious, how much are you guys enjoying this part of it?
Yeah, we're enjoying it. I think you have to. I mean, that's a big part of it, because I don't know, if you don't, then it just becomes a job along the way. Listen, there's a lot of I don't even want to call it pressure, but we know the magnitude of all the games as well. And when the margin for error is so slim, when you find a way to get that extra point, you know it gives you that much more of an opportunity to get to where we want to be. So sometimes the emotion comes out a little bit more than other nights, but we were just proud of the players for the way they played.
There's a lot of 4 straight games. You were trailed in the third period of all of those games. It's only the third time in franchise history that has happened. Where did that belief come from? And can you feel that belief in the dressing room, and how can that help you moving forward?
We had that from the beginning of the year, I would say. So that belief was kind of cemented early on. I don't want to get into that position too often because, hey, we've had some good fortune here over the last little while finding ways to come back in games, but I think the further that we go along with these last number of regular season games, and if we're to get to where we want to be, if you're trailing going into third periods, most times teams will lock it down. So I like that our guys think that they can come back or they can hold leads, they can compete and play in tight games. I like all that. I just like to see us find a way not have to do it quite as often as we have over the last little while.
We ask the players all the time, like, okay, what's the team going to need out of you in the last 12 games? What do you have to do? For you, behind the bench, and maybe it's your staff as a whole, like what do you need to give this group to get where you're trying to get to?
I think the biggest thing for me, Wes, and our staff is to make sure they know that we're with them through and through. We know the work that they've put in. They have to know that we're in their corner and we support them, yet we're still going to drive them hard as we have, maybe even harder right now. But they have to know that we have their backs and we're with them every step of the way.
I was asked about Adam Klapka's goal yesterday. Is that sort of exactly how you picture Adam Klapka scoring and making an impact in games?
Well, scoring or playing, like driving and using his feet to get the puck deep in the offensive zone, and then his size to get to the net. So yes, that's a goal we'd like to see him score more of. He does have a skill set that he's able to score off the rush too, or get that shot away. We saw that against San Jose last year, I think in the last game of the year maybe. He's got a great shot, but the biggest thing for him is to be consistent with using that speed and his size to his advantage to get that puck low in the offensive zone and then be a menace around the other goaltender.
You feel the energy on the bench when you have a goal or a penalty kill. Where does shot blocks rank?
Very high for the coaches and maybe even higher for the players this year. So I think they recognize that they have to do whatever is required of them to win games. And early on last night, there was a lot of big shot blocks by our players. Too many for my liking because they're going to have to do it, no question about it. But I think we put ourselves in some positions where we had to block more shots than we probably wanted to. But as for players watching it on the bench, they understand how courageous you have to be to do that. And we have a lot of players, especially on our back end, that are more than willing to do that.
In the summer, when we would ask about the plan for this organization moving forward, it was always emphasized that games like you guys are playing right now was so good for young players. How are you feeling that they're responding to the added intensity and pressures that come with this time of the year?
I think they've responded well. I mean, I guess I keep going back to nothing's really changed from the beginning of the year for us. Like there's been a standard that was set early on this season where we expected internally our team to be. Younger players, older players needed to be a part of where we were going. And I like the consistency the younger guys have brought to the table. They have their moments, of course, just like everybody else, but they've done a really good job of flushing it or pushing it away if something doesn't go their way, and they do the same when they have a great night. And again, I go back to leadership, helping them with that stuff here as we move forward.
Any good news? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Any update on Backlund?
No update yet. I haven't talked to the trainers yet about him, but he is trending in the right direction. I will say that again.